Hey guys, my name is Attorney Walter Knott. If you don't know who I am, I'm a disability attorney, mostly in Central Florida, but a lot of our claimants come from California and Texas now because of COVID and how it changed everything. The bottom line is, I want to talk to you about the Social Security 2100 Act. Specifically, I printed out an article, and the article is about the four major ways the Social Security 2100 Act would essentially go ahead and change benefits for people. And the reason I want to talk about this is that it will essentially boost the baseline for SSDI benefits up to about 125 base percent. There's also increases beyond that. Howdy, Wanda Wright. Howdy, howdy. But the bottom line here is we're going to talk specifically, since we talked about SSI people in the prior video. Nanny Anderson, howdy, howdy. We're going to talk specifically about how SSDI benefits will be getting a boost of their own. And remember, the whole thing here is SSI, we're trying to get up to 1,073, the 100% poverty rate right here. And then if you guys are wondering, they have this really cool little federal guideline sheet that goes through the specifics of what people would get at different levels. So for example, if you were at 100% the poverty rate, you'd get 1,073 per month. If you were at 115%, you get 1,234. But what we're looking at essentially for these individuals for SSDI benefits, we're looking at $1,342 per month is what they're trying to go ahead and create as a baseline. All right. I know. I was supposed to make this video 1,000 years ago. Now we're making this video. My apologies. Let's get right into it, guys. I'm going to read this article. This was published on October 23rd or updated 2021 at 12:21 p.m. by Alessandra Melito, specifically from MarketWatch.com. Title is Four Major Ways the Social Security 2100 Act Would Change Benefits. All right, let's begin. Social Security may be getting a facelift soon, thanks in part to Congressman John Larson's proposal called Social Security 2100 Act, a Sacred Trust. Here's the thing a lot of you guys don't know. This act has actually been blessed in part by the Social Security Administration because a lot of the financial gurus over there actually worked with him specifically on this. And that's because the financial gurus over at the SSA are afraid. And they're afraid because the trust funds are hit, and they've been hit heavily by the COVID virus. So the bottom line is people are worried. They're worried in the sense of those who receive the benefits. They're worried in the sense of those who administer them, the SSA. And they're worried in the sense of those politicians who are looking at a lot of angry people who won't be able to collect their benefits if the trust funds run out. Now, I want to make something very clear. The main aspect of this bill is to make the trust funds for Social Security recipients last and be solvent all the way through to 2100. We are in 2021. 2100 is way off in the distance. However, if you don't know this, the retirement trust fund is going to run out in 2033 and probably will lose another year after they do the metrics for 2021, which means that essentially in 10 years, by next year, the Social Security retirement trust fund will essentially run out, and people will receive 74, 75, whatever it is, percent of their benefits per month. Now, a lot of people think that's crazy because everybody just assumed that the retirement program would automatically have enough money for everybody, right? Anyways, point is, it wouldn't, and it won't, and that's sad. This bill is here to change this. All right, let's go through it real quick. The proposal, which incorporates previous suggestions for improvements to the program as well as some of the promises President Biden made during his campaign, would alter numerous aspects of the Social Security program, including adding caregiver credits for people who have to leave the workforce to care for their children or elderly family members, and an increased minimum benefit. Rep. Larson, who is also the chairman of the House Ways and Means Social Security Committee, has been working on this bill for years. The reintroduction of the proposal was slated for October 20th, but was postponed. I want to make something clear here. I've been saying this for months now. And I want to make this very clear. The reintroduction of the proposal was slated for October 20th, but was postponed. As you know, October 20th was 4 days ago. We were expecting the new version to be coming out 4 days ago. Did it? No. Is that because they're still trying to figure out all the numbers to make this thing work now that COVID has destroyed the basic, where the economy is going? Yeah, they don't know yet. They're still figuring it out and trying to get everything put together. And the reality is this: they're worried about the 2021 metrics because they haven't really taken those into an account when it comes to how badly it's going to affect the trust funds, because how much they tax the rich with this bill is going to be dictated by how hard we're hit by 2021. There's another problem. The other problem is that, unfortunately, my foot just hit the thing on the keyboard here. There's another problem. The issue is that, unfortunately, we have to tax the wealthy even more, which, unfortunately, because they already pay a lot of taxes, they're not going to be happy about. And it's not a small amount. So you're going to be seeing a lot of wealthy people hiring people to go ahead and battle this thing, whether it's an attorney to fight it in the courts or somebody up front to go schmooze with the politicians. You're going to be seeing that. All right. Let's go through this real quick. The trust funds that support the system are expected to run out of money within the next decade and a half. That's actually not true anymore. Now it's basically a decade and a year for the retirement fund, at which point recipients would receive a more than 20% cut in benefits on average. Congress has never let Social Security falter, but it has not made substantial changes to the program in recent years. Making changes to the Social Security is so controversial that it's often referred to as the third rail in politics because no one wants to touch it. Okay, so you got the politicians being afraid of touching it. You have the super wealthy being against the increase. You have basically the numbers being very tough to figure out, and you have a lot of people living in poverty. Awesome. We're doing great. The proposal, if passed, would be funded by expanding the payroll tax cap on high-income workers. Currently, workers stop paying into the system once they earn more than $142,800. So the point is this: if you earned $1 above $142,800, you did not continue to pay a Social Security tax on top of your income. Many of you did not know that because you never earned over $142,800 per year. That is understandable because that is a lot of money. All right, this legislation would apply the tax to workers earning more than $400,000, which affects only the top 0.4% of the earners. Larson's fact sheet on the proposal states the people in between the current cap and the $400,000, known as the donut hole approach, would slowly phase into the system as the current cap is adjusted for inflation every year until it reaches $400,000. Okay, so let me just go through that. This legislation would apply to tax the workers earning more than $400,000. So if you're earning more than $400,000, they would still apply the Social Security tax instead of back in the day what we had, which is that anything over $142,800, you wouldn't get hit with the Social Security tax. This whole donut hole thing that's in the middle, the people between $142,800 and $400,000, they would not be paying Social Security taxes in that inner area until a cost of living adjustment, blah, 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 would raise that $142,800 to meet the $400,000 policy. All right. Now we've explained that. Here are the four major ways Larson's proposal would change American Social Security benefits. This is where we get into the whole 125% poverty rate increase. All right, here we go. Increase the minimum benefit. This proposal would increase the special minimum benefit for low-income retirees, a baseline of 125% above the poverty line and linked to wage levels. The current minimum benefit, which was created in 1972, has been declining for years and is expected to be functionally obsolete for retired workers, beginning with those who will become eligible for benefits between 2017 and 2023, according to the Social Security Administration. Okay. The benefit, which is an alternative to the primary insurance amount, PIA, most Americans are familiar with when claiming Social Security benefits, has grown more slowly because it is price indexed, not wage indexed, meaning it follows the rise in prices from productivity growth rather than the average wages. That's pretty self-explanatory. Bottom line. All right, let's keep rolling. That's important for people who work their whole lives and retire in poverty, said Nancy Altman, president of the Social Security Works program. They want to switch to the CPI-E metric system of figuring out essentially how COLA will be applied. Social Security benefits are currently linked to the CPI-W, the Consumer Price Index, for a basket of goods and services used primarily by urban workers. The Social Security 2100 Act would switch to the CPI-E. So CPI-W is what we're on. We'd switch to CPI-E, which is an index tied to the cost of goods and services older Americans use. Why is it better to switch to the older Americans consumer goods review? That's because disabled people spend more like older Americans. It's just simple stuff. The biggest difference, perhaps, is the higher percentage of a retiree's budget going towards healthcare, which has been growing more expensive each year. Yeah, we're going to do an article on the healthcare situation, which is absolutely horrific. It is absolutely horrific because we are going to get to a point where people just can't afford to pay into Medicare. And it's actually not that far off. So, yay, some other problem to deal with. If you look at Social Security, one of the benefits it has is a cost of living adjustment. And that, particularly for consumers who are living on a fixed income, is really important, said Ryan Horgan, Chief Executive Officer and founder of Silver, a financial app for people 50 and older. One of the questions is, what's the right reference point? Considering how inflated prices for healthcare can be year after year, so they go up, they go up, and they go up by a lot, and the fact that so many older Americans spend a significant portion of their income on healthcare, right? Because older people need more healthcare, they're spending more of their money on healthcare because that's what's keeping them alive, right? Medication and treatment. The CPI-E would be a better measurement. This year, the CPI-W outpaced the CPI-E 5.9 versus 5%. Horgan said, though, that is uncommon. The CPI-W's higher rate was due in part to the cost of fuel and transportation, Horgan said. So in a rare thing, the CPI-W gave people the 5.9% increase, as opposed to essentially the CPI-E, which is what they want to switch it to, only giving a 5% increase. But that's because fuel and transportation costs were not what they usually are. That's going to change. We're going to go right back to the CPI-E being the better option for those who are disabled. Okay. Excellent, excellent. Good, good, good. All right, next thing, an across-the-board benefit bump. Larsons' proposal also includes an increase in benefits for all beneficiaries, roughly 2% of the average benefit. The U.S. faces a retirement crisis, and modest boost in benefits strengthens the one leg of the retirement system that is universal and the most reliable, according to the proposal's fact sheet. All right, so what they're talking about here is that basically 2% of the average benefit would be increased for all across the board. That's just the bottom line. So instead of us talking about just, the poor getting to here, we're talking about everybody else just getting a bump. So that's everybody gets a bump except for the poor being brought to here. Okay. Many Americans rely on Social Security for some, if not most, of their retirement income. Not all analysts agree there's a looming retirement crisis in the country, but surveys do show Americans are not often as prepared for their retirement as they wish they were. Studies show low-income workers suffer most, but even high-income earners can be in trouble as well. There has not been an increase in benefits since 1972, so that is a really important one, Altman said. This will affect everybody. Okay. Offer caregiver credits. Here's the offer caregiver credits thing. Okay, here we go. This proposal would also provide credits to the system for people who have to leave the workforce to care for their loved ones, a familial obligation that can cost Americans a chunk of their retirement savings in the future. Not only do workers lose out on money in the present when they leave their jobs to take care of their children and other dependents, but they are no longer contributing to the Social Security system, which means they're not paying in, which is not good for this. All right, so Social Security system, which uses work history to calculate benefits, it basically screws over those people because they're not able to go ahead and pay into their future benefits because they have to take care of their kids or elderly. So this is going to give them caregiver credits. Okay, this is an issue we see playing out among female customers the most, Horgan said. If you just look at Social Security on a countrywide level, women's benefits are typically lower than men's benefits. This is partially because of lower earnings, but also because of an exit from the labor market to become a caregiver. I look at the caregiver credit as finally a recognition of men and women, but particularly women taking on unpaid labor to take care of family, impacting their current income, but destroying their Social Security. Yeah, it's also that, and women tend to make less. It's also that, and kind of the bottom line is the women are usually the caretakers when it comes to kids across the board or family member, and that's what he's saying. But that's kind of the bottom line here. Other changes: Larson's bill, if passed, would also eliminate the 5-month waiting period before workers can begin receiving Social Security disability benefits. To wait 5 months with no income and then Medicare with the wait, it's a real hardship for people. So what he's saying there is basically the problem inherent with this is that essentially they need to get rid of the 5-month waiting rule for people trying to get into SSDI benefits. And then they also need to go ahead and get rid of the 24-month waiting rule for the Medicare benefits. Okay. The proposal also takes into account benefits for widows and widowers, though it does not provide details as to what those improvements may be. Currently, spouses can claim their own benefit or 50% of their spouse's benefits if that equates to a higher benefit. When the spouse with the higher benefit dies, that additional spousal benefit goes away, and they just get the equivalent of their spouse's benefits. Those widows and widowers may not have expenses that drop accordingly, however, which can put them in a worse financial situation, especially if they also do not have much retirement savings or a pension to rely on, Horgan said. There's a growing concern of older single Americans receiving low benefits, she said. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. That's it. That's the whole yada yada. Okay, cool. All right, so bottom line here. I think I put the thing in wrong there with the SSDI amount. So it should have been the retirement amount calculation. But the bottom line is those are 4 major changes. There's a heck of a lot more of them. But the main aspect of how this is going to affect most people is the 2% bump and then the general bump to get people on that retirement chain up to 125% of the poverty base level. I've got to change the image there, but we'll do that a little bit later. Either way, guys, I'm going to do one more video explaining something real quick. This one I've got to fix the thing there, but that's fine. One more video to go, and then we'll be heading basically to sleep to go ahead and drive up to Maine tomorrow after I've been working for 2 weeks straight on the farm, doing law firm stuff, and then every day pressure washing, staining, painting, etc. I'm at the family farm, been working very hard. I will catch you guys a little bit later. Have an absolutely wonderful day and have a wonderful, wonderful night. Thanks, guys. All right, bye-bye.